What's up, everyone? Welcome to a Nosebleed Perspective, where today I am joined by a man who watched his Blues hoist the Stanley Cup and Chiefs win a Super Bowl within a year of themselves. Coming from you live from Italy, new dad, good friend of mine, Brent Gibson. As always, Gibby, thank you for being the consistent one on the show.
Well, I think it's just kind of luck of the draw with everything. Bad weather here in Italy. Decided to stay home. Excited to watch football as a Chiefs fan. It's Raiders week, so hoping the Chiefs can get a big dub. And then as a football fan, man, there's some good games this week, so pretty excited for that as well. Glad to be joined by you.
Hey, man, thanks. Yeah, excited. Week 5, there are some good matchups, like you said. Just ready to get it rolling. So we got some topics to talk about, and then we'll do our pickems each week as always. But we'll start off with some teams that probably have a chance or probably not have a chance to make the playoffs this year. We're going to do a little contender-pretender list. So which team we like, which teams we don't like so far, since we're over a quarter of the way through the season now, going into week 5. So, all right, we'll start off with the AFC and the Buffalo Bills. Gibby, what are your thoughts on them? Contender or pretender?
Big contender, especially if they can get that run defense figured out, man. They are going to be tough. Josh Allen keeps going on this. They're definitely a contender.
Yeah, I have no disagreement there. They're a good squad. I'm excited to watch them play each week now, which I've never said about the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah, Josh Allen's the man. As long as he can keep being consistent, that defense holds strong, they're going to be just all right. All right, yeah, so same division. We'll go with the old Pats here. New England Patriots. They're only 2-2 right now, but they've had obviously some tough matchups and some close calls, and they had the Chiefs last week without Cam, and then they went down to the last play against the Seahawks. What are your thoughts on the Patriots?
I think they're the toughest. As a Chiefs fan, I do not want to see the Patriots in the playoffs. I would rather see the Bills. I'd rather see the Ravens. I'd rather see anyone else. Bill Belichick just figures this out, and he is highly motivated this year. Like you said, a yard away from beating the Seahawks, who's the top team in the NFC. And then, they play the Chiefs without Cam Newton and the top team in the AFC, and they went toe-to-toe with both them guys. So they are a huge contender as well.
Yep, agree with you there. Big contender. If Brian Hoyer doesn't fumble the ball twice or lose his mind, get sacked. Yeah, he gets sacked at the end of the second quarter. Took a sack, thought he had a timeout or something. We're talking about a whole different ball game, a whole different perspective. But I do like the Pats. That defense, they lost fucking everyone almost, and they are still one of the best defenses in the league, in my opinion. So look out for the Pats. I agree with you there. All right, you're Kansas City Chiefs. I'm gonna go ahead and they're a contender. They're the top contender. I think they're going to sit atop that mountain until somebody knocks them down. They've had a couple close calls now, which has probably been surprising with the Camless, Patriots team and going to overtime with the Chargers. So, but I think they just have it. They just won a Super Bowl and they're still 4-0. It's just so tough to do, and I think they are a team that's equipped to do that if anyone can. So,
yeah, I agree. If they struggled with the Ravens, I'd be concerned because that would be 3 weeks in a row. But it just seemed like maybe they're just not getting up for these games, and they will when it comes to playoff time.
Yep. All right, we'll go to the let's see, AFC North, where we have a few teams that are 3-1. So, or the Steelers are 2-1, I guess, huh? Since they did not play last week. Yeah. Well, we'll start with the Steelers. You think they're a contender or pretender in the AFC, which seems to be getting quite tough at this point in the season?
Yeah, they got a tough division, and they're going to be tough. That defense is really good. There's no doubt we're going to get onto that. But, man, they're going to get after the Eagles today. But that offense has got to get more explosive. It's going to take time with their quarterback coming back and everything. But if that offense does get explosive, watch out. They could make a deep run.
You think that bye early at week 4 is going to affect him at all? Somebody like Big Ben, who just looks like, man, he looks like he could still play at his level. I mean, if you've watched Ben Roethlisberger, he's just going to kind of sit in that pocket, get beat up, and then drop some dimes. But I'm a little worried about them going forward. I still think they're a contender, just because, like you said, that defense is just tough. Maybe one of the best in the league, and if Big Ben can stay healthy and they could do enough on offense, I think they are a team to definitely you don't want to face that team in January. So, yeah. All right. So staying in that division, we'll stick with the Ravens. 3-1. Kind of got back on track a little bit last week against the old football team, Red Potatoes. What are your thoughts on them going forward? Do you think they're an actual contender in the playoffs, or not?
I mean, yeah, with that defense, it doesn't they're always going to be a contender, just like Pitt. I mean, they're going to have to figure out a passing game, adding a wide receiver, or just the development of Lamar Jackson. I mean, because you cannot be a one-dimensional team, especially in the AFC this year in the playoffs. Like, you've got to have other options, because Bill Belichick and Andy Reid and them guys, they can take away your best player on offense, and they've got to have a number 2 guy step up. Hollywood Brown, somebody in that backfield, someone else has got to step up and take some pressure off Lamar's shoulders. But contender for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to say they're not. I mean, just what they've done the past couple of years. I think it'll be interesting watching them the rest of the year. I think they need to maybe take a couple L's right now and get humbled a little bit. Last year they went 14-2, and they didn't have to face adversity all year, and then it came time to face that in the playoffs, and the Titans just kind of put them in the dirt. All right, last team in this division, like you said, a pretty good division. 3-1, the Cleveland Browns, coming off a win down in Jerry World. What are your thoughts on the Browns? Do they have what it takes to actually make a run at all?
To make a run, I'm going to hit you with a little pretender there. I think they can make the playoffs, but anything past getting to the playoffs, and I think that'd be a big win for Browns fans. I'm friends with quite a few Browns guys, and they're coming back out of the woodwork, so I'm proud of them. But not winning a playoff game, getting to the playoffs, I still think they can, but we're going to find out a lot today.
Yeah, big game. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Pretender. I don't even think they make the playoffs. I think they're riding a high. They beat some shitty teams, and this week is it's gonna be a big one for them. But like I said, we'll talk about that. Pretender for me, they don't sniff the playoffs in my opinion. So I know they're 3-1, so it's crazy kind of to say that, but I mean, they haven't proven enough. If they can just run the ball like they should, like we saw last week, they scored 49 points, and Baker Mayfield threw under 200 yards, I think. That's just a testament to that running game and what it could possibly do to teams. So, we'll see what they do moving forward. But for now, I'm out. Tennessee Titans. So, team went to the AFC Championship last year. What do you think about them? Do you think they can make a run? Pretender, contender?
I keep saying I think I've only hit one pretender, but I've got to go contender on the Titans too. I think they win this division, and I like their coaching staff. I said in the preseason show when we talked about this division how boring it is, but that they lose their corners, they lose pretty much all their DBs, and they're playing good. This is another big game on Tuesday night. That we're going to find out a lot about the Titans, but I got to go contender on them. Team coming off the AFC Championship, it's hard to just mark them off.
By the way, Tuesday night football is a thing this week.
Let's go.
Get excited. I mean, hey, when's the last time we had Tuesday night football?
I don't think ever.
I don't know. So that's exciting. Kind of upset that we got the Patriots game news this morning that's going to be canceled. I was excited because over here we would have had Monday night football at 2 p.m. Which would have been incredible. But that's all right. Tuesday night football is still a thing, so that's exciting. All right, we'll go to the Colts. So a quiet team this year. They took a loss early in the season against Minshew Mania and the boys down there in Jacksonville, which was a surprise to everyone. But they've kind of gotten it together, and they are like one of the best, if not the best, defenses in the league right now, and when it comes to statistical wise. So, what do you think about them going forward? Do you think they can actually make a run in this? I know you just picked the Titans to win this division, so what does that mean?
I think I'm going to go ahead and hit them with a little pretender action on this one. I think that their defense has been good. It has. There's no doubt, especially if you have in fantasy, that you got all that going for them and everything. But I just don't think they can maintain it. We saw it last year. Their defense struggled and everything. So I'm going to hit them with a pretender action.
Yeah, I got to go the same. Just basically because you've said it 1,000 times on here, watching Phillip Rivers for so long. I just don't know if I can get down with him going into the playoffs. And like you said, the Titans are going to be tough, but if they can keep that running game, if Jonathan Taylor can really come into his own and be someone on the ground, and it's just tough because they're going to have to pass the ball at some point and get into those late game situations. And I don't know if you want old man Rivers as your quarterback with that. So
shout out Cruz, man. Appreciate you showing some love. Hope you and the family doing well in Japan, man. Hit me up sometime. Yeah, come on the show and tell us about your boys.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Same to you, Doherty. Appreciate the love, man. Hope you're doing well back in Missouri.
All right, so we'll move to the NFC now. We'll go to the NFC West, which is a pretty packed division at the moment. So we'll start with probably the favorite right now, the Seahawks. And I'll go ahead and start with this one. I'm going to say the Seahawks are pretenders, and this is a hot take, but I just can't do it. They probably win this division, and I obviously think they're going to make the playoffs, but I do not see them in the playoffs making any type of run. I don't think they win a game. That defense, unless they can really get it together and turn things around, I don't understand how this is going to work with them allowing 400, 500 yards a game. It's just too much of a red flag that's just smacking you in the face. I think Russell Wilson can definitely win, MVP, or he will win MVP, but boy, it's just going to be tough for them to keep this consistently every single game. Maybe I'm wrong. They have an interesting matchup we'll talk about today, Sunday Night Football, I think, right?
Yep.
Against the Vikings. So we'll talk about that. But I for now, I think they make the playoffs, but they're a pretender. They're not gonna go far.
I got a contender. I think they, preseason gave our predictions. I think I got to stick with it. I think that this team reminds me of the Chiefs a few years ago when they lost to the Pats. Their defense is just not good, but their offense is able to keep up. And in today's NFL, you make a 1 or 2 turnovers, which I think their defense can. You can make a run, and I think Russell Wilson is just playing maybe the best football in the NFL right now. So I'm going to go contender on Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, most people would. All right, we'll stick with that division and the Los Angeles Rams. Gibby, what do you think about them?
Yeah, that's a tough one. We're going to find out a lot about them. They've been playing on the East Coast, which is tough. That it's going to come down to them, the Bears, the Bucks, like that last playoff spot. We talked about how top heavy the AFC is, but that last playoff spot for the NFC is going to be tough. Everything they've shown now, you got to go contender. But after this week, they got the 49ers, the Bears, the Dolphins, the Seahawks. So we're going to find out right now. But as pre-week 5, you got to go contender.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm trying not to be unbiased here, but I got to just talk about what we saw last week when they played the Giants. They did not look like a good football team, and I think that's going to be a reflection of what we're going to see over the next few years with all these big contracts and everything going on with the financial situation, because there's holes. We have players, obviously. Aaron Donald, is going to be a monster, Jalen Ramsey, but it's just going to be tough, and I think it's going to be a tough next 4 to 5 years for me and all the Rams fans out there. But I'm going to say contender for now, because you have to. They do look like they kind of, have an identity and they stick with it, and teams can sometimes have fits with it. So, but like you said, we played some bad teams and it's been East Coast. So we'll see a little more in the next coming weeks, but for now, contender. All right. The 49ers, they're 2-2 right now. Interesting team. We don't know what we're going to get exactly. I think we know what we're going to get. Obviously, they were in the Super Bowl last year, but they just lost to the Eagles, man. But then again, they were playing with a practice squad. So what are your thoughts on the 49ers?
I got to go contender here. They're a couple plays away from winning the Super Bowl last year. And they are banged up, not with their quarterback. And no matter what your thoughts are on Jimmy G, there's no team in the NFL that's going to be successful without their starting quarterback. So as long as they can ride this wave and get through with Nick Mullins until he gets back and this whole team gets back, I think they're going to be fine whenever we're talking about this 10 weeks from now. Definitely a contender. Yeah,
I agree. Contender. They got an easy schedule. The NFC West does as a whole. So we get to play the NFC East, which is going to help. They did lose to the Eagles, but I think they're going to be okay. They just need to get everybody back. Mostert comes back today. I'm not sure. Is Jimmy G playing today?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think it matters. I don't think it matters too much, honestly. But yeah. All right. So Green Bay Packers, NFC North. I think they are my pick right now in the NFC. That team is humming on offense right now with a bunch of nobodies. A-Rod and the boys got it going on. Big fan of what they're doing. That defense is, hit or miss, very opportunistic, but I think they're better than the other team in the NFC in the Seahawks on defense. So,
yeah, I mean, their offense is very explosive. I mean, Jones is playing well. Your boy A-Rod, he's just balling out. He's highly motivated, like you predicted. And MVP run, and he really could, especially with that Saints game. That was a big game for them. I'm excited to see games for them in the future as well. But you got to like what they're doing. They do have an early bye, and that could be tough for a team like that. So,
yep,
but definitely contender.
Yep, sticking with that division, we'll go with the Big Dick Nick led Chicago Bears. Just got a win on Thursday Night Football against the Bucks. I'm gonna go with pretender here. I just don't see them with you talked about that last playoff spot. It's going to be hard to get. And when I'm picking these pretender, contender, whatever, I'm thinking of a team that could at least go into the playoffs and win a game. So I don't think that's possible for the Bears. The defense is great. I just I'm not all in on the Bears.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I think they could make the playoffs, but making a run is going to be tough. I thought the running game was going to be better for the Bears. It's still not there. If they would have picked up Freeman or Cam Newton or anyone, if they would have made any offseason moves besides get a backup expensive quarterback, we might be having a different conversation here. But, yeah, they're a contender. I think they could make the playoffs, but not a run.
Yeah. Oh, could you imagine Cam Newton and that defense?
It'd be nice.
What could have been. All right, we'll end on the Tampa Bay Bucks. Just lost. They're 2-2 now as well. I kind of picked them to win that division, and I'm sticking with that. That defense is actually better than people think, I think. So I like them to win that division still. I still do. It's just going to take a little bit of time for Tom and the boys to get on the same page and do that. We've seen glimpses. We've seen them look bad. We've seen Tom miss a lot of throws. But I think Ronald Jones is really starting to come into his own. He's got over 100 yards in the past couple games, so he's getting a lot of touches. Granted, Fournette's hurt, but I think they like him. He looks pretty good, honestly. He's making the first guy miss a lot, so it's cool to see. But yeah, I think they're contenders still. I have to. I'm not going to go against that.
Yeah, I've got to go with pretenders. I think what makes Tom Brady so good all this time is his ability to not make mistakes and play that check down football. And he's without, his wide receiver, without Fournette. So it's just going to be tough. I mean, the Bears, I feel like that was a game that they needed to win. But that Bruce Arians ran team is, sipping beers after practice, chilling. Hey, we'll have 11, 12 penalties. And I don't know if they're good enough to have that. I mean, Jameis Winston kind of fit Bruce Arians' offense, like exactly what the whole team is. So I feel like you got to live and die by that sword, and that mixture is just not good. I mean, they could turn it around easily. When you got the GOAT, anything can happen. But right now, it's not mixing.
Yeah, I mean, and we've kind of talked about it before. Those quarterbacks who came out and said, or came out and performed in that Bruce Arians offense in their first year have thrown more interceptions than they ever have in their career. Going back to Carson Palmer, Jameis Winston, obviously Mr. 30 for 30 himself, and then now Tom has thrown some duds. So, all right, that's our contender/pretender list. We'll see how that develops throughout the season. But next, let's go down to Arizona. Let's talk about the Cardinals, man. What are they just – so they started off 2-0. Everybody was on the train. What are your thoughts on them? Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, are they crashing down? Are in the words of former head coach of these actual Cardinals, Dennis Green, are they who we thought they were?
So I would say they are who we thought they were if their defense was struggling, but it's actually their offense, and that's their coach's thing. So I think they're going to be able to figure it out. Now, if the Cardinals were giving up 40 points a game and their offense wasn't able to keep up, to me, that's a concern. But the issues of turnovers and stuff like that, it's going to come with timing. I'm not freaking out. If panic meter, I'm not panicked at all. If you're, a Cardinals fan or anything like that, I think you guys will be okay. You got a good practice squad to play this week, and then figure everything out after that.
Oof, that's a shot at the Jets right there.
They're used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree, but I'm gonna disagree a little bit more because I just think that in this division, I just don't see them beating any of those teams in that division, which is going to account for a good amount of more losses. So that's just my thoughts. I think they'll struggle in the division and they'll drop a couple they're not supposed to. And I do like them today against that team over there in New York, New Jersey.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see. All right, let's see. So how do you think the Ravens are going to, how do you think they can go? How far do you think they can go, rather, just being that one-dimensional offense? Kind of talked about it, but do you think how big of a concern? I mean, I know every sports show will talk about it, but it's like a real thing down there or up there in Baltimore. Do you think they can make a run being this one-dimensional offense, or like how big of a concern is it?
I mean, I'm a little more panicked than the Cardinals making the playoffs for them to make a run because it just kind of gets in your head. So now as soon as the playoff comes, like, man, we've been here before. We've been the best team. I think they, maybe them not getting that bye, not getting that number 1 seed would be a good thing because they can just continue to roll. Like you kind of hit it. Like maybe they need some reality checks throughout this season. And I agree with that. Lamar's got to stay healthy. I know he didn't practice a few times this week, and then he set out the fourth quarter of a 2-touchdown game, which is kind of odd. So, I think they'll be okay, but we're going to really find out whenever they have to play the Steelers. I think that is the one that Ravens fans need to circle, need to watch. How do they play against that with the blueprint laid out on how to stop this offense?
Yeah, that's a good point. That'll be a good game. That's a good defense. Maybe a game they're not stressing out as much, like as opposed to like going against the Chiefs, who they've continuously lost to. So maybe they can go to Pittsburgh and get a win and do something. But you made a good point, and I kind of talked about it too. The 14-2, regular season last year. Yeah, I think it'll be good for them to take a couple L's, get down a bunch, and have that experience going into the playoffs this year. But it's a huge concern. I mean, it's just I've kind of talked about it.
Swift showing some love to your flag, man. What's up, Swift?
Hey, attaboy. I don't know you, but I like you. Yeah, so the Ravens, you got to worry about them a little bit, at least. So we'll go down to Houston. Obviously, Bill O'Brien, he has kind of been that whole organization himself, and he finally gets fired. Do you have a good replacement in mind for him at all? I think Romeo Cornell, their 73-year-old interim head coach right now. Do you have any replacements in mind, or what do you think about Billy O'Stooge getting fired?
I mean, I think not that I'm in any position to give people life advice, but at some point in your life,
you are for sure.
You have to know when you don't know what you don't know. Billy Stooge thought he could be Bill Belichick. He thought he could be the offensive coordinator. He thought he could be the head coach. He thought he could be the GM. This man needed every time there's rumors about him talking and people would try to give him advice like, hey, we should try this. And he'd say, this is my team. This is my team. Well, your team was built for this year and you went 0-4. So, he needed to be gone. As far as a replacement, I think the Colts DC would be a good replacement. As a Chiefs fan, I'm not going to mention that guy at all because I want him to stay. So go ahead and grab the Colts DC. As far as GM, just make sure it's not the same guy. No one can do what Bill Belichick does. And just move on from there. Billy Stooge, man, maybe you're a good coach. Maybe you're a good offensive coordinator, but that's a lot of hats to wear.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of hats to wear. And I think what happened is he got, if you're at one level, if you're a coach or you're a GM, you can point your finger at one, but man, he was all of them. He was the calling plays, the GM and the head coach. So you run out of fingers to point at somebody else when you wear all those hats. And yeah, it's your fault. And it sucks. You pay a quarterback a lot of money and, just a rough start for the boys down in Houston. So, all right. So we'll talk about, I think we kind of hit on it, our favorites in the NFC and then in the AFC. So who is your favorite right now? I know it's probably
we got to go. Yeah, got to go Seahawks Chiefs. preseason prediction is a good start, so no reason to back out yet.
Even with that defense.
I think they'll figure it out. I'm a big Pete Carroll guy. Big Pete Carroll guy on defense. Not necessarily offense. I think he's got a lot of flaws offensively, but defense, I think they can figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad. Don't get me wrong. It's bad.
Yeah, real bad. I mean, people are not talking about it enough, I don't think. And I'm here to put them on blast here in the Nosebleed Perspective because that defense is similar to the Cowboys right now. And it's true. Look at the numbers. But they have Russell Wilson, and the Cowboys are a shit show on offense. Well, they're just playing catch up continuously. So, which is good if you have Dak Prescott as your quarterback. He's putting up some monster numbers.
Yep. Cowboys good for fantasy, bad in real life.
Yep. So my favorites are the Green Bay Packers. Talked about it. Aaron Rodgers. I think without the crowd, he is like just thriving right now with his hard counts, with the way he's calling plays. He is in his element. And if you watch the Packers from a full game, like how do you beat these guys? I mean, you got Bob Tonyan catching 3 touchdown passes.
Rolling cartwheels, getting up.
Yeah. He fucking got tripped and got up. He's like, oh, I'm wide open. And that whole offense is, when they get Devontae Adams back, look out, man. It's just and that defense led by Jair Alexander, big Louisville guy. He's looking good. So just I like the Packers, and in the AFC I have the Chiefs as well. I mean, it's just
it's tough until they get knocked off.
Yeah, somebody's got to beat them. All right. So we talked about the Cowboys. We'll hit on a little more obligatory Cowboy talk. So Dak Prescott, he's in the first year where he doesn't have the best O-line in the league, pretty much. I mean, with Frederick retiring and some injuries, and they cannot win. What are the odds, or what do you think about the situation when it comes to paying him this offseason or not paying him?
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can. I don't think you can pay him. Like, he hasn't done enough. I mean, I think last year when he lost to that Eagles team with all the injuries. I mean, you think the Eagles were hurt this year? Look at that Week 16 Eagles roster last year. There's some names on there that you do not know and are nowhere near to playing football this year. So after that, and then this year just kind of re-solidifies that their running game's not really there because the O-line's not there. He's getting the real world NFL experience right now. He got the NFL in a cupcake form whenever he first joined, which there's nothing wrong with that. Good for him. I think he was like a 3rd round pick or something. So, you can't dog the man for that. Like, he was given, but whenever the going gets tough, he has not stepped up. He could lose a lot of money because of that.
He is going to lose a lot of money because of that. Like, they would have gave him, what did he want? He wanted 30 to 35 or 30 to 40 million this year or something like that.
40, yeah.
Yeah, 35 to 40. If he would have just settled for 25 to 30 or 30 to 32 or something like that, he would have been a rich man. And
That's it.
Yeah, he'd have been set for life. And it's just tough watching him because now they're having to throw their way back into these football games, which I still don't understand. They have to run the ball, man. They just have to run the ball with somebody like Zeke back there. And their offensive line is, it's not as good, but it's still solid. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But like, if you look at it from both sides of the coin, they pay Dak what he wants. Say he gets $35 million. Say he takes $30 million this year because of the way the Cowboys are playing. They're screwed. They're just screwed because they just paid their quarterback $35 million or $30 million. If they don't, they're screwed as well because now they don't have a quarterback. Who they got? Cooper Rush back there. Do the Cowboys tank for Trevor Lawrence at this point? I don't know.
Yeah.
They
could.
Hey, think about that. Sunshine down in Dallas. That's I think that would. I think Cowboy fans would be suddenly not so loyal to Dak Prescott.
Yeah, that's true.
If you are a Cowboy fan, please let us know our thoughts on that. How you would feel because it's interesting. All right, Corey, what's up, man? Joined the live show like last week or something. I appreciate that. Panthers were 2.5 point underdogs. How is that?
So I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
I know that they're 2-2 and Carolina is excited. I just don't know. Atlanta's got to win at some point, and Vegas knows that. I think Vegas wants you to put money on Carolina, and I'm advising against it. We'll get to that eventually. I'm saying stay away from this game, but I mean, even with Julio out, I still think this is going to be a tough matchup for Carolina to win. You know, if they go 3-2, Corey, you can come on here and tell me how big of an idiot I am. But I'm still not a Carolina believer at 2-2.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Stay away from that. But yeah, it's all about the Falcons. The Falcons are such a wild card. Obviously, they've been on the wrong side of the wild card. They have lost 4 games, but they're going to win at some point. It's Atlanta. They're gonna give that fan base a little bit of hope at some point. It's going to happen. I think that's why that is. And you know, Teddy's looked decent, good enough. I think he's been hitting his receiver. I think he really likes Robbie Anderson down there. So. Yeah, I don't know. It's a big game for Carolina.
Big game. Like. It's a sneaky good game to watch.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but we'll talk about them here in a little bit. But I appreciate it, man. Let us know if you want to come on whenever again. All right, where are we now? Just talked about Dak and the boys down there. I mean, man, it's just. But who knows though? Because if the Cowboys win this shitty division, they go to the playoffs. They're like, you know, Cowboy Nation's like, oh man, sign this guy, you know. So there's a lot of things to look at when you talk about this Dallas team and how fortunate they are to be in the NFC East. So, but yeah, all right, staying in the NFC East, Dwayne Haskins, a guy who just, you know, we've talked about him enough on the Nosebleed. Obviously, Ron Rivera is a big-time Nosebleed perspective guy, and he's an avid listener to the show because he not only benched Dwayne Haskins for Kyle Allen, his guy from Carolina. He's not even suiting up this Sunday, and he's you know, Alex Smith is ahead of him. So, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, I don't know, man. It's just tough, but it's nothing that the Nosebleed crew did not predict.
Corey, last thought, Cowboys will never get their full potential. I agree until Jerry Jones retires. His hands are too involved. That's a great take, Corey. I agree with that. You know, whenever your owner's hands are in the cookie jar, they're just never going to be as good as they can be. As far as Haskins goes, man, like I know we've slammed this dude, and you know sometimes it's not fair to be a fat man drinking beer on Facebook talking about how terrible a guy is at quarterback, but I blame the red potatoes on this one. This man only played 1 full season in a great offense at Ohio State, and they drafted him at 15 overall. You're telling me in 12 games you know how good this guy was going to be? They should have known. I thought when they drafted him, they knew that he wasn't going to play for 2 or 3 years. I understand injuries and everything, and then Case Keenum was struggling, so like, oh, let's just throw this guy in here. But you can't do it. You've got to let this man sit and get his confidence. It wasn't able to happen. And, you know, maybe a couple years down the road, he's just super raw. He's super raw. Yeah. And he's a guy that you just got to sit.
Yeah, he's not ready. And, Ron Rivera, he wasn't there when they drafted him. So he was like, get the hell out of town because I got my little guy, Kyle Allen, over here who's not going to throw for 4 picks. But yeah, it's going to be tough because Kyle Allen, his first game this year, his first start is going to be against Aaron Donald. So that's going to be tough, but we'll see. I think he just likes the plus side with maybe Kyle Allen doesn't turn the ball over as much, and that's going to be troublesome for the boys down in LA, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. All right. So talked about the Bucks, but Tom Brady he clearly forgot what down it was. He's holding up 4 fingers. It's a tough look for my guy down there. I've been a big Bucks guy, but are they in trouble? We talked about them a little bit, pretender contender, but do you think they even have a chance at sniffing the Super Bowl at this point?
No. I don't think they have I don't think Green Bay's better than them. Seahawks are better than them. San Francisco getting back, they're better than them. I mean, we saw them play the Saints. I know it's week 1. I think they play them again now. The NFL did give them the last 4 weeks of some cupcakes, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with the Super Bowl outlook on that. It's gonna take a lot for them to get in that conversation. It's gonna take about 4 to 5 weeks of straight dominance for them to get in the Super Bowl talk, in my opinion. I mean, probably not, because talking heads like us, professional sports show, they'll blow up. Yeah, they'll blow
win
up
one
Tom
game.
Brady. Yeah, if he goes out next week, throws for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the Bucks are winning the Super Bowl. So, it's just going to be. I think they're an interesting team to watch, though. I really do. I really like watching the Bucs just because it's weird. Obviously, seeing Tom Brady in a Bucs uniform, but just seeing them, and they have a really young, I think, a really good defense. Good Devin White. They have Winfield back there, this rookie safety who's been a monster so far this year. So don't count them out yet, but I do not like them in the Super Bowl talk. So, and that's where I was wrong in my forecasting. So. All right, so let's go to the Bears, sticking in the NFC. Coach Nagy, he admits his team wins are ugly, and that they are. Everything about the Bears is ugly, and I think that's just kind of how Chicago's built, how they win games. But what are your thoughts on Chicago? We talked about them a little bit, but I mean,
like you said, Coach came out and said. They do win ugly, everything like that. That's how they're going to have to win. They're going to have to win with their defense. They're going to have to get teams into third down, get a good pass rush, and all that. Right now they can't make a run in the playoffs, but getting to the playoffs would be a good start for them.
It's not going to happen. I just think they're not going to win the division, and even with an extra playoff spot, I think the NFC is too deep, and I don't think they have what it takes to get that. They still have to play the Packers twice. I think they probably slip up and lose one against the Vikings. But we'll see. All right, Mr. Daniel Dimes has not looked good at quarterback this year. He has not been good at the football. Granted, you have to take it with a grain of salt. One of the best running backs in the league, Saquon Barkley's been out. But there are some solid quarterbacks in the draft coming up this year. Do you think, he has to play well over the next couple of weeks for his job to be secure?
I think he has to play well today. This is the worst, maybe the worst secondary in the NFL. If he does not play well today, I think you chalk the season up as a loss as Giants fans, and you tank for one of them three quarterbacks, because I know he had some hot spots last year and everything, but if you can upgrade and then hopefully get Saquon back, I haven't been a big Danny Dimes believer. Wasn't in college. I'm not now, so I could be biased, but I think the potential is there to get someone else.
Yeah, I think they like him, obviously, because a lot of people expected them to draft Dwayne Haskins, which was kind of crazy too, like you just pointed out. But I just feel like they like him, and I think going forward with knowing how bad their offensive line was, I know they drafted Jedrick Wills, I think they have, but I just don't see them actually moving on from Danny Dimes there, because I think he showed enough potential last year, and not this year, but like you said, the Cowboys defense have a way of making every quarterback look like Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see what it looks like today. I think it's a big game for him, and he knows that. He knows it's a big game. So we'll see. They kept it close with the Rams last week somehow. Yeah, they need to win a couple games they're not supposed to win for him to be completely secure.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't think they expect much with a new head coach who used to coach special teams. And yeah. All right. So Bill Belichick, just talked about that coaching staff. Only coach to be able to stop Patrick Mahomes from scoring in the first half, which is interesting. We talked about it a little bit, but if they make the playoffs, Patriots, that is, are they the biggest obstacle for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I do. I think so. We talk about the Bills. They can't really stop the run. The Chiefs answered, their run issues. They had a good run. They played well with the run in the playoffs, but during the regular season last year, they really didn't. I think they are. I do. I don't want to play Bill Belichick in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100% agree. They've faced off enough times. It's almost like a familiar divisional opponent at this point, with Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. I'll face shield Andy. But man, if Cam can play the way he's been playing, it's gonna be a good game. I think it'll definitely cause some problems. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Well, let's go up, down. Let's see. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz. All right. So the Eagles went to Super Bowl. Carson Wentz led him there half the year. He was great. MVP form, gets hurt. Nick Foles comes in. Everyone knows the story. But right now, the Eagles and Carson Wentz are struggling. They did win against the 49ers, but they were not whole in the slightest. Do you think it's fair to put the blame on Carson Wentz? Because Philadelphia Eagles fans, I don't know if you know any, but they hate that man right now. They are not a big fan, and they're putting all the blame on Carson. So what do you think about that, and what's your thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, the city of brotherly love, man, is not being very lovey to Carson Wentz. They want him out and they want him gone now. Whenever you draft a quarterback, you always feel like you have that option. We talk about that draft high on draft day as a fan. You get excited. And you're like, oh, we got a new toy and we want to play with it. Well, if I had to give a percentage, I'd say it's about 15% Wentz's fault. He's male. He's thrown some pretty terrible balls. But that offensive line is terrible, and he's throwing to his wide receivers are not good. Like, there's no one he can get the ball to. There's no one he can check down. Well, Miles Sanders he can check down to, but outside of that, like, it's just tough. It's really tough. I know it's hard for Eagles fans to realize, but it's not on Wentz. It's on this offensive line. It's on the secondary issues that they've had forever that they just continue to not address.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the O-line. I think they had like 3 of their guys out over the first few weeks. Yeah, so it's like that's a huge loss. No one talks about that O-line enough. That's going to – and Carson Wentz is like single-handedly keeping these guys somewhat in games too. Right. Like if you watch him in the second half of games, he's just getting obliterated out there just trying to keep his team in the game. So you can't be out on Carson Wentz just yet. I mean, the dude – you've seen what he can do. He's had some. I mean, it's just no one on that team. It's you can't even Greg Ward. Are you kidding me? He's like a fantasy pickup. He's like on the transaction trending list. I mean, it's like
WR1.
Oh God, it's tough. Yeah. So just chill out, Philadelphia fans. You need everyone to get healthy, which I know you've been hearing that for the past couple of years. But I mean, come on. All right, so let's go towards. Let's talk about some rookies. Right now, give me your best offensive rookie and defensive rookie so far. I know it's only 4 weeks into the season. Rookies can have a little bit of a hard time transitioning at some positions, especially. But what do you think?
I know I've been blowing up the Patriots like all night. I'm not a Patriots fan or anything like that, but man, next year they look scary because in the 6th round this year, they got an offensive lineman who has solidified an offensive line who had 2 guys opt out, a guy get hurt, and he has just kind of been that glue to hold them together. So next year when they get everyone together and they have $90 million in cap space, he's a tackle, but he's playing guard. Michael Inwenu, 6th round, he's just balled out. He literally locked down the Chiefs, didn't let them. I know they had some sacks and stuff, but none of them were from him, guys. And he's really good. And then, of course, on defense, I got to go Chase Young. The guy is just a disruptor. He's on a great D-line as well. So that's going to help. It makes that transition easier whenever you got help and you're not getting double teamed all the time. But they were my 2 rookies so far.
Yeah, the Patriots O-line, too, when they played the Chiefs, David Andrews, he's like the centerpiece to that whole operation, and he was not playing. And they were just, plugging in guys alongside your guy there. So that's a good point because they do have the most cap space in the league next year, and it's scary to think about for sure. Maybe they sign Cam long term, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Bill Belichick's head with that, but look out for the Patriots to reclaim dominance in the future for sure. All right, so my guys, I'm gonna go with on offense. I have to go with Justin Jefferson. Man, he's just like a guy who wasn't supposed to be as good as he's been. I think he's doing everything Stephon Diggs is doing. Gibby, you've said it a couple times. He was a second option at wide receiver on that LSU team, and he's coming out here and consistently. I mean, granted, he's not getting a whole lot of like catches. I think he had like 4 catches, 100 yards last week. But the dude has showed his big play potential, and I really think that he's doing everything that Stephon Diggs did on that team. So without the drama and without the paycheck and without all that right now. So I really like Justin Jefferson. If you haven't, I'm sure he's picked up in all leagues. He has to be picked up in all leagues right now in fantasy. But I was lucky enough to claim him in 2 out of my 3 leagues, which was a close call because it was either him or Alan Lazard. Lazard goes out for the year or IR, so good call on me. So my defensive guy, though, I was split. I wanted to do C.J. Henderson. I really like what he's doing down there in Jacksonville, but it's just a shitty team, and he had a really good first week, shut down T.Y. Hilton. But I'm going to go with Jeff Okudah. The reason because I really think that he can progress. I think he has a lot of potential. He was, like you said in a previous episode, he was he played a lot of zone, but he's very well transitioning into that man defense in Detroit. So, and that's all they run in Detroit. I think the only team who runs more man is New England. And where do you think Matt Patricia got that from? So, I think he's really transitioning well. He's had a couple hiccups, but he's looked really good, and he's had to face some good players. So, I like him going forward to be the defensive player of the year. Well, I actually really like Chase Young, but it's just
we're a sports talk there. We can't agree.
Yeah, I didn't want to put the same player. Chase Young's a monster. I'm a little worried about him going forward with today's game. Anyway, yeah, that's my guy. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and go to our weekly pickems so we can get this started before kickoff. All right, so first up we have and we locked our spreads in yesterday, so they have probably changed a little bit, but we locked ours in for our purposes. So first up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals playing over there at M&T Stadium against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 12.5. That's what we got. Gibby, who you like?
I've yet to hit on the Bengals, and I'm going to go against them today again. I'm going Baltimore minus 12.5.
Nice. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. I think I've went with Cincinnati every week, and I'm sticking with them plus 12.5, taking the points. I think they could. The Ravens could definitely get ahead, but near the end of the game, Joey Burrow's not going to give up. Might get a couple trash touchdowns, so I think they close the gap enough to cover the spread. All right. Next up, we have Carolina Panthers. We locked him in at 1.5 points. I know Corey was talking about 2.5 now, but we locked him in at 1.5. But Atlanta is the favorite. So who do you have here?
I got the Falcons. I talked about it with Corey. They've got to win eventually. I know Julio's out today, but I think this team has just got to turn around. A lot of people are saying they're not playing for their coach, but I gut instinct is Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with Carolina on this one. I think that Julio being out is a huge factor. People are going to be able to – that defense is not good. They're young and they're not good. But they have enough I forget his name, the DB on that team. Long hair, real fast, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I think they have enough to cover Calvin Ridley and maybe Hurst get some points, which I need. But I like Carolina win this game. I just Atlanta can't do it. But you're right; they have to win eventually. So this could be. I would stay away from this one, like you said, though. I didn't want to pick this one at all. All right, next up we have Las Vegas Raiders playing over there at Arrowhead in Kansas City. Kansas City is favored by 11.5. Who you got?
I got the Raiders. This is a divisional game. There's no way a divisional game you can bet on a team winning any divisional game by 11.5. I cannot put that on there. I just can't. The Raiders, they haven't won against Kansas City in a long time, and they're probably due. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to win, but 11.5 is too many points for me to give up.
Chiefs win by 2 touchdowns. I got the Chiefs in this one. The Raiders are a bad football team. They're a bad football team. And that gets exposed. The Chiefs have kind of been sluggish, and they need to get some stuff right. They put it on a display today. So, yeah. All right, next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are favored by 7 points. What are your thoughts?
Lock Pitt in. This is a team with great D-line and great front seven. That Eagles O-line is beat up, so that is just a disaster waiting to happen in the NFL.
Yep, we are on the same page here. Literally the words right out of my mouth. That O-line being hurt and that D-line, Pittsburgh getting that extra week and a half or whatever coming off by. Big Ben's going to throw some dimes. Look out. Lock it in for me as well. Pittsburgh, more than 7. All right. Next, we have the Los Angeles Rams favored by 7.5 against the Washington Red Potatoes. Gibby, who you got?
I've got to go with Washington plus 7.5. I've yet to hit on the Rams this year. Every time I go against or with them, they mess it up. So, don't listen to me on this one at all. But if there's any proof in the pudding on how to stop Sean McVay. It's pressure up the middle. Their Rams 2 guards have played very, very well. But we talked about the Red Potatoes D-line playing well, and I think they can make it close enough. I don't see them winning, but maybe a garbage time, no turnovers by Kyle can get it close enough.
Yep, we've been friends for too long. Literally the words, again, right out of my mouth. The Rams are just going to, I think, have a hard time with that D-line. I don't think people understand how good that defensive line is in Washington with Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, and that other guy on the other side, who I forgot his name. But, yeah, 7.5, that's more than a touchdown. I think they can cover that at the end. Hopefully, we've been kind of opportunistic. We've got some turnovers late in games, the Rams, that is, but I have to go with the Red Potatoes on this one as well. Yeah, pains me to say, but yep, I'm going with Washington. All right, next we have Arizona Cardinals sticking with the NFC West, favored by 7 points against the New York Jets. What do you think?
Arizona, lock it in. They got to have a bounce back game. I don't know what Vegas is thinking here. Like I never do. I'm not going to try to pretend like I'm smarter than Vegas, but 7 points? Are you kidding me?
Hey, Super Bowl champion Joey Flacco starting this game for the New York Jets. Look out. I'm not going to lock the Jets in because I cannot do that. I'm not going to even pick the Jets at all. I think it'll be close, though. This one was hard for me, honestly. This is one of those games I'm kind of excited to see. I know there's just not a lot of excitement with the Jets at all, but just pay attention to this game. I think I do have the Cardinals winning, though, -7, though. But it'll be interesting.
Yep.
All right, so next we have Jacksonville Jaguars playing in Houston. Billy O'Stooge gone. The Houston Texans are favored by 5.5 points. Who you got here?
Lock in the Houston Texans. This team wants the world to know the reason they were bad is because Billy Stooge was the coach. They are fired up today to show the world that. Lock in Houston.
So I'm going with Jacksonville on this one. I think Jacksonville, look, they do this, I'd say, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a year. They don't belong in any of the games they're going to play at all this year. But we saw them week 1 come out and beat the Colts. Gardner Minshew is going to come out and have a heyday. I like the Jaguars right here. I don't think they're going to win this game. Particularly, they could. I think they could, but I think it's going to be really, really close. I'd say within a field goal, this game's going to be. That's why I'm taking the Jags plus 5.5. So I just don't know, man. The new coach, the new all that. I don't know. So next we have the Miami Dolphins going against the San Francisco 49ers. Gibby.
I got.
Sorry. The Dolphins are plus 8.5. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that spread's too big. That spread's too big for Nick Mullins. I'm going with the Dolphins at 8.5. They played the Seahawks close last week. I did lose money on that game, but it happens. You got to roll the dice sometimes. Hopefully the Dolphins can pay me back this week.
Yep, I am in agreement here. Ryan Fitzpatrick just finds a way to sometimes keep games close. We saw it last week with Seattle. And 8.5 points, a hell of a lot of points. So I'm going to roll with the Dolphins plus 8.5 against the Niners. And that team right now, they're just not fully healthy. Mostert comes back, like I said, but yeah, let's go Dolphins. All right, next NFC East, we have the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys. NFC East battle of the scrubs. The Cowboys are favored. All right, so when was the last time we had a 0-4 team favored by 9 points?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I think Vegas is playing with us. Because my whole mindset, my whole betting mindset is in a game like this where it's 2 terrible teams, you take the points. You take the points. I'm going to try to reverse psychology Vegas, and I'm going to go with Dallas. I don't know why. There's literally no reason, but I just feel like they're toying with us right here. And I don't know. Stay away. Just stay away.
So Gibby says stay away. I say lock it the fuck in. I'm going with the Giants plus 9 here. Look, the Giants they have a sneaky good defense. Not good. Better than you think defense.
NFC East good.
Yeah, exactly. And the Cowboys, I just don't know what we're going to get. I think it's going to be closer than you think. Danny Dimes, we talked about it. He's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be slinging that thing. That secondary stinks. So I'm going to go with the Giants. I don't know if they win this game. I don't think they win. I think the Cowboys win, but +9, a lot of points. I'm rolling with the Giants. Lock it in. All right, next up we have the Indianapolis Colts, who's been a decent team, and they're going against the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk about that. So Chris Redmond says Josh Jacobs, who's one of our guys. We love Josh Jacobs here on the Nosebleed Perspective. A big game against KC, very possible.
He will. He's going to go off. This man makes more people miss in the NFL than anyone else. His offensive line's been banged up. Haven't checked the injury report if Trent Williams or their left tackle will be playing, but it's going to be interesting, and he could have a heyday. The Chiefs linebackers have overplayed their talent in the first 4 weeks. They're not as good as they've been playing, so I could definitely see that.
We'll see. All right, so we're doing
back to the game of the week.
Yeah, so the Colts, sneaky good team at 3-1. They've been really routed, I'd say. They're favored by 1 point going against the Cleveland Browns, who beat the hell out of Dallas last week. Gibby, what are your thoughts?
Let's go Brownies. They're going to go 4-1, and then this is just going to be a Browns talk show if they do, because it's going to be very, very, very interesting if they can pull off a win against the Colts and go 4-1 and only lose to the Ravens. So I think Cleveland does. I know, the point doesn't matter. Like flip it. It's a coin flip game. I'm very excited. This one will be on my television fully.
Oh yeah, and so this is one of Cheech's locks of the week. He has the Browns +1. Lock it in for Cheech. I'm going to go with the Colts on this one. Glad I could oppose you all. Look, the Cleveland Browns, they just had the biggest win in probably the past 10 – 20 years. They just had the biggest win of their forever. So they're riding that high. We all have seen the Cleveland Browns do this. We've seen them at the top of the mountain, and this is the week where they start to just drive it straight into the dirt. If they're smart, they run the ball with Kareem Hunt and Hilliard, their backup. But I'm not sure what they're going to get with the Colts defense that I mentioned is number 1 in a lot of categories on defense, right? So no one's talking about them. Look out. The Colts win this game. I didn't lock it in, but I'm excited for this game. Like you said, I think it's the game of the week because it's a good defense going against a Browns team who we just don't know what we're going to get yet. I don't see Jarvis Landry throwing for touchdowns. I don't see Odell Beckham running for 50 yards. And it's just not going to happen. And, go Colts. Sunday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings are going to be playing the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 7. Give me who you got.
I got to go with the Seahawks. It's a tough one for me. I'm saying stay away from it. You talked about that secondary issues. The only reason I'm going with the Seahawks is because I don't know if Kirk Cousins can expose them as much as everyone else can. But this is a tough one, and a lot of the big money is actually on Kirk Cousins this week. So I'd stay away from it.
Yep. Nope. I'm going to roll with the Vikings. Yep. Kirk Cousins, primetime Kirk, is actually 4-2 on Sunday Night Football. Fun fact. And the Vikings have done – Yep, the Vikings they've done this for a couple years now. They kind of lay some eggs early. They kind of look like shit, which they have. They've looked bad, real bad. But that secondary and all those issues, I'm going to go with the Vikings to keep this really, really close. Possibly win. You heard that. Possibly win this game in Seattle. But I'm with the spread at 7. I'm going to go with the Vikings, and Kirk Cousins looks like an MVP candidate tonight. Just tonight. Yeah. All right. So next, I'm going to roll to the Los Angeles Chargers. Last game since the Patriots game was canceled, so we're not going to even pick that. There's no sense in that. There is another game on Tuesday. We talked about Buffalo Bills. They have not released a spread, so we'll leave that one alone for now. But right now, Monday Night Football, the Chargers play the Saints over there down in Louisiana. The Chargers have 9 points. 9 points. So the Saints are favored by 9. Who do you got, Gibby?
I gotta go with the Chargers. Big money in Vegas. All the money. It might be almost 90% of the money is on the Chargers. Vegas believes in the Chargers. Brent Gibson from Italy believes in the Chargers.
Brent Gibson from Italy. I appreciate that. And I'm going to also roll with the Chargers, and I'm going to go one step ahead and lock it in. This is a lock for the week for me. Justin Herbert has looked damn good against some good-ass quarterbacks and some good teams so far. So he has a lot to prove. He's going to be on the spotlight, yes. That D-line going to give old man Breeze some issues, and I love the Chargers +9 in this one. Lock it in. Well, Gibby, you have any more thoughts? Anything going on week 5? We got kickoff in about 12 minutes. What's up?
Nope. Let's, we unfortunately COVID is kind of taking a turn, but on the NFL. But hey, we got football, and let's sit back, grab your favorite adult beverage, and just enjoy the game. And let us know what you guys think. If you ever want to come on the show, hit us up.
Yep, and I play Gibby in 2 leagues this week.
Good luck.
I hope everyone tears ACLs. See, that's how he's an humble guy. I'm not. Yep. So, all right.